Hi, everybody. This is Sierra again, coming to you with another Confessions of a Law School Nobody episode. And today I'm going to talk about how to get into law school, or GOAT. And GOAT stands for four things: G for GPA, O for organizations, A for activities, and T for time. So let's get into it. G for GPA. To get into law school, everybody usually assumes you have to have a 4.0, be amazing, you can read like until there's no tomorrow, and just be amazingly smart. Well, that's not necessarily true, but it does not hurt at all to have a really strong GPA. I'd say I put this one first because it is really important. I mean, that's the paper they look at, your transcripts. They look at what kind of classes you took, they look at what grades you got in those classes, and expect you to do well because law school is not easy. So, having a good GPA always will help you in your process of applying to law school. So, next, O for organizations. Be a participant in your undergrad organizations. Now, you don't have to do a lot, and I specifically did not do a lot. I was involved in 1 to 2 in my undergraduate career, but that was mainly because I was a non-traditional student. I had my daughter with me. I also worked part-time, so it was really difficult for me to take on other organizational activities, but I made it happen because I wanted my file to be diverse. I wanted admissions counselors to look at it and be like, "Oh, well, she had a good GPA, but also she worked, and also she took care of her daughter. Oh, and she did this or that." So I think it's really important for them to see those kinds of things, and it could be anything. I was involved in our Coalition of Black Students. I was involved in our International Students Organization. I was involved in our African Students Association. And those were three things I really believed in what they were doing. And I made myself a part of it. I became a part of their executive boards. And, I made sure I was there. So those kinds of things really look good on your application. So I would just suggest that you involve yourself in 1 or 2. Don't try to do too many and overwhelm yourself, but 1 to 2 is usually good. Next, A for activities. Activities it kind of coincides with organizations, but doing things beyond your undergrad institution. And that could be, you could participate with your church group, you could participate in community service outside of organizations you do on campus. You could do a hobby, you could ski, you could play flag football on the weekends, you could do tutoring. It could be anything. Just have some kind of activity that shows that you weren't all about sticking your nose in a book, which is all and good, but just make sure you have something to let admissions counselors know that you're not just a robot. So that's just my feedback on it. Next and last is time. T for time. And I use this because I suggest that everyone take time off after you get done with undergrad. I went full-time for 3 years straight. That would be fall, spring, and summer. I did classes year-round, and it really exhausted me. But for one, my school was really expensive, so I had motivation to get done early. And two, I was just really tired of school, and I was ready to move on to the next stage of my career pretty early. So I got done in 3 years, but I still took a year off. And I'd say that year off was really important. I took time to work. I took time to spend time with my family. I traveled. And it was really good for me to kind of take that time to decompress from going to school year round. And I think that's really important for you. You could take 1 to 2 years off and do study abroad. You could do Teach for America. You could do AmeriCorps. You could just work. And I think admissions counselors like to see what you did in that time off. Like I said, with activities and organizations, they like to see what you did with that time to see how much more of a well-rounded individual you became during that time off, and your reasons for the time off. I think all of those things are very, very important.
Priceless, that's something that's in your veins.
And I mentioned the personal statement, I believe, earlier. And I think that's a big part of your application, actually. And a lot of people discount it. They're like, well, I have a really strong GPA, so it really doesn't matter. I think you're wrong in that aspect, because I've heard from plenty of admissions counselors that look really strongly on the personal statement and say, okay, what kind of individual do we have here beyond what this transcript says? I see that she has a 4.0, but um, what else did she do in 4 years? I think that's really important. I think a lot of people discount that. Um, and you're hearing it from me. Don't discount it. Take time to write it. Sit down and write it. It's only about 2 to 3 pages. And every particular law school has specific questions they may ask, but generally they're going to ask you why you want to be a lawyer, why you want to go to law school, why you want to go to their specific law school, and maybe what challenges or achievements that you've had in undergrad or in your life in general. And that's the time to, brag about yourself. Say you did this or that. Say I worked while I was in school. I paid my own way. I took care of my family while I was in school. Something. I know we've all had our own different challenges and triumphs. So your personal statement is the time to talk about those. It's the time to explain and, give everyone a good view of who you are. So definitely take the time to do it, and, make sure it's great, get it edited and proofread, and make sure it talks about you to the highest extent that you possibly can, because it's really important, especially if you don't have strengths in the 4 categories I listed: GPA, organizations, activities, and time. The personal statement is a great way to explain and break yourself down to the admissions counselors beyond what's in your transcript. Also, part of the application process, you may interview with the admissions counselor or an alumni. And I know a lot of the top 25 schools, you do interview with an alumni. I did that for Harvard and Duke and WashU. I interviewed with an alumni, and it can be very scary. But I would just say, use your points in your personal statement as conversation pointers or starters. And, they really just want to get to know you. That's why I say the personal statement is really important. Get used to talking about yourself, your challenges, triumphs, achievements. Get used to talking about them, because people genuinely want to know. They want to know how you particularly can add to their student body. So, don't discount the personal statement, and view it as really important. Take it very serious beyond just your LSAT score or your GPA. Those are just pieces of paper. They're just numbers on a piece of paper. So don't put so much weight on those. Just put your weight on the personal statement if those areas aren't as strong. So just to recap, GPA is the G in G.O.A.T. Organizations, activities, and time. So hopefully this video was helpful for you. If you have any other questions, just let me know. You can comment on this video, or you can ask me on my website, www.sierravc.biz. It's also on the bottom of this video, and I cannot wait to speak with you guys again, and have a great one. Bye. Easy to dream a dream, though it's harder to live it.